Hello and welcome to this week's Content Tea Party. And if you're watching the replay, welcome as well. I hope you find this so useful. We have some amazing questions this week. It's been quite an interesting week where I am from. We have seen cases of corona coming back and everybody's thinking second wave. So it's a very good incentive to have a good look at your business and make sure that you are fully set up to work online should this happen again. And of course, the best way to do that is to make sure that you have plenty of traffic to your website so that people who are actually looking for your services can find you. Okay, so those of you who don't know me, I am Stephanie Fiteni. I'm a content marketing strategist and blogging coach. I help my clients with content that generates leads. So everything I do is about lead generation and finding more of those perfect match clients that are going to make your business grow in the direction you want. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We are going to look at Maria's question, who asked about tags and categories. So we're going to see how to use tags and categories. We are first going to make sure that we all understand exactly what they mean and how they are used. And then I will explain how to take a decision on what to use when. And then after that, we're going to review a freebie, which was submitted by last week's website review. And we're going to have a look at the freebie and I will give you some tips on what can be improved, what is working, and how we can just add and make our content just a little bit juicier, just give it a little bit more punch so that our clients really want to get in touch with us and say, hey, I want to work with you. Okay, so let's start. So here is the question. Okay, so what's the difference? Let's see if I can change this. Okay, so what's the difference between tags and categories and how do we use them with WordPress? I have added the bit about WordPress myself because I know that a lot of the people in my Facebook group who come and watch this live and a lot of the people who ask me the questions are actually using Facebook. I'm actually using WordPress. So hi Maria, nice to see you here, great. So in fact, this is based on Maria's question and I've just taken it a little bit further because I think it's a topic that, can be very extensive. So let's start off with tags. So what are tags? Tags are those little words that WordPress asks you to put on the side of your blog posts. I can actually show you what this looks like in a post in just a minute. But what I want to do first is actually help you understand the difference between SEO tags and, the word tags as it is used in WordPress, because they are two completely different things. If you go to Google and you punch in SEO tags or tags, you're very likely going to land on a piece of information that talks about HTML tags. And this can be completely misleading because what it does is tags in terms of HTML or SEO tags are actually pieces of code. So they're not in the website where you can see it or in the CMS where you're putting your blog posts. They are actually in the code. So unless you are a coder, you are not dealing with that type of tag. So if you're a programmer and you want to learn how to code, fantastic. I did that myself. But if you're not dealing with programming, then HTML tags obviously are not the kind of tag you are going to deal with. Now, of course, the SEO tags that are the HTML tags are very important, but a website like WordPress is automatically going to have these in place for you. So you're going to be using these tags by filling in the information in your CMS. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing. See, the tags you have in the backend of WordPress, I'm going to give you a little preview of tomorrow's post and we can have a look at, okay, here we go. So this is the backend of my site and this is what the tags look like. So this is the tags field. Now these tags are not, just a second. Okay, no, sorry. That was Ecam popping up a signal for me. Okay, so these kind of tags are not the same tags that go in your code. So here's where the difference is. The SEO tags that we hear about, they're the ones that the programmers would put in or WordPress structure already contains, and they are within the page. When you put tags here, they go outside the main content of the page. So Google understands, or any other search engine for that matter, but I like to talk about Google because it's the smartest one. And so Google is going to understand that, okay, you have this copy, so the text of your blog, but the tags are outside of it. So it doesn't really look at the tags, and it doesn't really see them as a way of using them for SEO. However, they are still used for a very particular reason, and that is to help you find your way through your posts a little bit better. So some people, you know, in the old days, we used to have tag clouds. So you'd go to a website, and you would find this tag cloud. So a lot of words near each other in different sizes, and that gave you an idea of how much content you had for each topic, where every tag was a topic. But the way they are used today, you can use them for yourself to organize the content of your website. And I actually did this for many years, but as I sort of started seeing all the algorithm changes, I kind of realized that tags were probably doing more harm than good to my website. And I did actually recommend to some clients that they remove the tags. And of course, it's something that I also did myself. And I wanted to give you a very good reason for doing this. So when you create a tag, now this is going to be hard to show you because I've deleted them all from my site. But maybe you can try it with your own sites. So when you create a tag and then you actually go and click that tag specifically, you will find that the tag takes you to a page where you have all these articles, or maybe one particular article. So what tends to happen is that in the old days, people would put in a lot of different tags, and it's good for us to recognize and know what's inside the article. But what WordPress was doing is actually creating all these extra pages. And this is not very good for SEO. In one of the Panda releases, I believe it was the one in 2018 actually. Google started giving importance also to how much thin content you had on your website. So when you have pages that don't really seem to have much value, and they seem to be duplicates, so they have the same information that other pages have on them, then Google kind of starts giving your websites a lower rank, and it does get in the way of SEO. And what I did actually just a few days ago, since just over a week ago, I'm in the process of auditing my own content and doing some upgrades and improving speed. This is something I do approximately every 6 months. And since my website is relatively new, it seemed a little bit early to do it, but it's never too early because I'm already seeing really good results. So what I wanted to show you is that since I actually deleted these tag pages, this is what my traffic looked like. Oh, it's right on top of my face. Okay, so let's move that. Let's see if it allows me to move it while I'm live. Okay, I cannot move it. So I can have a look on the side. Here we are. So as you can see, actually, let's point to this side. So you see that spike. If you look at the dates at the bottom, it was probably around the 21st of this month. So it was probably around a week ago. And then as you can see, there was the spike. So you can see the spike here. Let me move for it out of the way. Okay, I did this in a hurry before we started because I had a client call and I was just set it up on top of my face. Well, things that happen to the best of us. So as you can see, look, I have already seen a spike since I did that. And although I am currently working on other changes on the website, so far I have only worked on actually reducing the image size on a couple of blog posts And another change I did was add my blog, my podcast, which is of course increasing the frequency with which I have new pages on my site. So those are the only two things that have really changed. And as you can see, I have seen quite a spike. So I think that removing the tags definitely, as I suspected, is a very good thing for your website. Now let's move over to categories. Now, a very common question I get about categories is, should my categories be in my web address known as the URL? And, how do I use these categories? I would like to find a very interesting image I was looking at earlier today, which I absolutely liked, actually. Let's have a look. Okay. So, well, actually, I can share my own because I'm doing my own SEO audit at the moment, so I have a lot of the stuff right ready here. So let me show you this one. So I've been working on the structure of my site. So basically what you want to do is you want to have a structure where you have your 2 or 3, you can even start with 1, main categories for your blog, which are the main categories that you want to rank for on your website. So digital strategy, content marketing, and blogging tips are the 3 keywords I want to rank for. These are keywords that are really hard to rank for. Then we have these 3, which are like the subs. So this is going to be all the content that goes in there. And inside these, I will have then more blog pages. So we're looking at, this is the homepage. These are the categories in my blog. Okay, so they're not categories in the homepage. They are the categories of my blog. And then these will be subcategories in each one. So sort of to give you a little bit of an easy way to sort of think about it, you would have 3 main categories in your blog, and then as you get a lot more content, you start organizing that into subcategories. Now, it's important to have the categories appear in your URL, and the main reason is if you have too much content. I'm trying to find an example on my site so that I can show you right away. Here it is. Okay, so okay, I don't want any eCam updates while I'm live. Thank you very much. I don't know why they keep popping up while you're live. Okay, so as you can see, there are the 3 categories here in my blog, and then when I go to the blog page, you can see that I'm slowly building up categories and reorganizing the content. But what's interesting is that when I click on the category and then click on an article, you can see that I have the URL and then the category and then the article. And what this does is it actually avoids that you have, in the long run, you have too many articles in one bucket, because what will happen if you have too many articles in the same bucket, Google will stop indexing your pages, and this of course will cause your website to plateau or to start losing traffic. So that's one thing we want to avoid. But basically, categorization is in reality, from a human perspective, not from a Googlebot perspective, not terribly different. We would use them to organize. So they are used to organize the content. It's just that when we use categories, they are important for SEO. So we need to make sure that things are organized based on our keyword research and what we know. The kind of words that we know our clients are using and have traffic. So we don't just want to pick them randomly. We also need to make our site easy to navigate. Of course, it needs to be simple to navigate. So once we have thought about what the search engines might want, we need to shift our, the way we think and say, hey, okay, now I'm going to think like a human being and I'm going to say, is this user friendly? Can I actually find my way? And why not? If you actually can, I would also email your website to a couple of friends and say, hey, would you have a look at this? And just let me know if you find it difficult to navigate, if you can understand what I'm talking about, if you understand what I'm selling, so definitely a very good way to test your website is by sending it to somebody who has no clue what you do to earn your living. And, they will give you very much unedited feedback, which sometimes can hurt, but it's definitely all for the better. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm just going to give you literally just a couple of, well, minutes, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less than a couple of minutes while I dig out the PDF. So take a little bit of time to absorb what I just said, and if you have questions, just pop them under this live just now so that I can make sure that I answer you before the end of the video. Okay, so I'm going to go in and I am going to dig out the PDF. And in fact, this PDF is from Natasha, who last week asked to have her website reviewed. Now, what happened was that we reviewed Natasha's page, which was the form where you fill in your email and your address and then receive the freebie, but we did not actually see the freebie. So, okay, so I'm going to share it with you and we're going to just have a look at Natasha's freebie. It's all unedited today. I unfortunately have not had much time to go through it, so I'm going to experience this with you and I'm going to be looking for the right features. And here we go. Oops, hang on a second. That's not the right page. Okay. Okay, I think I know what I can do. I think I just need to drag this into my browser and I should be okay. Let's see if I can. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So, okay, I think it's gonna let me. Okay, here we are, and of course, it did let me in the end. Here we are. So this is Natasha. I love the fact that it opens with your warm smile. I actually said in the previous live that I actually really liked this picture specifically because of the smile. So I really like this. Excellent. Okay, so let's go in. So it says, resilient, not redundant, how to rise, thrive, and reset your life. And the lovely life coach, Natasha Wardle. I actually really like that. I love the feather as well. Brilliant, that works really well. Okay, so then we go to a welcome page. This is something that a lot of people forget, and it's really, really important. A lot of people who download your freebie have not heard of you before. They may have just clicked on an advert or found your page using Google, and they don't know who you are. They just know that you put something interesting on a landing page and they thought, yeah, I want to see this. So they've put in their email address and their name, and now they've got this PDF in their hands. And if you do not put enough information about who you are and what you do, they're just going to take the value that you're giving and then, completely forget about you. And this is exactly what we don't want. This is the opposite of what we want. So very good point here. If you don't have a welcome page in your freebies, I would definitely add it. Now, what I find, now I can see that this is taken probably from the website. Okay, I can see that you're asking questions that were also asked on the landing page here, Natasha. What I would do is I wouldn't ask my clients if they're struggling with these things anymore, because the fact that they've downloaded the stuff and they are now reading the PDF means that they are struggling with that. So I wouldn't put any more information. If it was a survey and you needed to collect their information and use the data, you could ask them again, but it's just a PDF. They're not going to engage with you. So I would say there's no need to ask them what they're suffering with, because they have already downloaded your PDF. So I think you should here go straight into, explaining again why you are the best person to listen to and why they should be really listening to your story and what you have to teach and whatever your qualifications are. So yeah, anything that shows them that you are qualified and that they can actually really trust and hold the information you're going to provide in high regard. I actually downloaded something recently about the alkaline diet. There's a lot of mixed information out there, but the guy just did such a good job of explaining why he is the best person to actually get this information from. Of course, there was his life story and all the research he did and how he tested everything. And that to me meant, okay, I am going to stop looking at all this other information. I'm going to print this booklet and I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to trust this guy. And of course, because you have their undivided attention, they're not on social media anymore. They don't have all these Facebook pop-ups and all these LinkedIn messages. They are now on a PDF. There are no distractions. It's the right time to tell them why they should be understanding, that you are the right person to get this information from. I would also be tempted to send them an email that says, what they can expect in terms of emails. But that's probably a topic for another day. Okay, so then we go into the second page after the welcome page. And here, let's see, 5 steps to reset. So here you're explaining the 5 steps in a nutshell. I really like that. It's probably because I'm not wearing my specs, but I do find the font a little bit small. It's not really a big bother because PDFs can be very easily zoomed in. One thing to keep in mind, if your PDF is really actionable, like a checklist or something you're going to write on, try to also provide like a very light version that people can print, or maybe just a black and gray version that people can print and use. I used to do this with one of my freebies that had a lot of stuff to write, and I just had at the end of the nice colorful freebie, you had sort of the gray and white version. So that's definitely something to confirm. But I do like the fact that, you've presented them with exactly what the steps are going to be. Then you're taking them through the thought process, which I think, for a PDF that kind of touches on actually one-to-one coaching in a way, because this is what you're doing. You're kind of coaching them here. I think this really, really works. You're also telling them, that you need to find a quiet place where you're undisturbed and, away from distractions and so on. Okay, so you've set the scene and you've given them a nice quote, and then they can go right in. Okay, so you have writing prompts again, and in fact, I think these are super printer friendly. I think they can be printed really easily, so definitely I wouldn't change that. Potentially, maybe I would remove this green border and just make it a lighter color so that, people don't think, oh, I really don't want to print this because it's going to suck the ink out of my printer. Okay, so, then you have the questions to guide them through the process. Okay. So here you then have a second step. I would be tempted to have another sort of closing here. So after the questions, I would have even maybe just a couple of lines to explain, okay, now you have completed this section and you should feel confident about A, B, C, and D. And now we move on to the compelling vision, which is step 2. Potentially, you could also let them know what they're going to use from step 1 in step 2. And sort of the same then, of course, applies in going from step 2 to step 3 to step 4. Okay, then you have your resources checklist, which is interesting. And then you go from negative to positive, which is great. Anchoring, empowering affirmations. Excellent. And then in the end, you have meet your lovely coach. Okay, so I would put this one in the top. Like I said, I hadn't had time to see this, so I didn't know this one was coming. This is the one I would put at the very top, because this is the one that positions you as the person that they really need to go to for this kind of work. Okay, and then in the end, congratulations, which would work really well. I like the book A Free Reset consultation here. What I would be tempted to say is, can you explain a little bit how the consultation works? Some people might assume that it's not free. Well, it is. It says it's free, so it should be fine. Okay. So forget that bit there. They do know it's free, but I would definitely work a little bit on the benefits of the consultation. So when I go on a consultation, what is going to happen and what could the outcome of the consultation be? The reason I'm saying this is you seem to have been given a lot of value, and to me this is kind of a mini session already. I would be tempted to say that, I would actually ask them if this is something they would like to do with me, perhaps, and then once you sort of explain how the process works, you can upsell them into your other group programs. Okay, and then of course, the whole principle of it all, which is you're never redundant. Your job will always be to fully live your life and be all that you can be. I like that a lot. In fact, I would actually remove these second 3 lines. And I would potentially put them somewhere here, because to me, they are part of your call to action. So let me help you find your vitality, your purpose, and your passion, and create the lovely life you can't wait to wake up to. I think that is your call to action. Those are your benefits. That is what I was looking for on this page. So you could put them in between the text and the button. You could put them under the button, and then add another link. I think this is actually all you need. And I love the fact that you use this next to your name. I would really like to see these 3 lines here, 1, 2, 3, with that picture and the lovely life coach underneath, all over your social media. This could be your Facebook header. It could be the header of your social media group if you have it. It could be just the first thing that people see when they visit your profile, so they know what you're about. So I really, really like that. Okay, so once again, I feel that Natasha's done really well on this. You have worked really hard on this stuff. I can see you've put in a lot of time and a lot of work. So I'm very happy that we had the time to actually review it today. Okay, so just a couple of things I wanted to share with you. As usual, look out for the podcast episode coming out this week. And this week is about content repurposing, and I did an interview with Amy Woods, who has a niche agency that is completely dedicated to repurposing, and we had an amazing conversation. I'm sure you're going to find it really, really informative. And tomorrow there's also a blog post coming out, and the blog post is about pricing your coaching. So if you're a coach, you're going to find this useful. Just look out for my social media touch points, on my Facebook page or Instagram or LinkedIn. I more commonly share on Instagram and Facebook, so those are the 2 platforms really that you should be looking out for. Okay, so I will also be opening some training slots in the near future, so keep your eyes peeled if you're interested in some coaching sessions, because I have a couple of slots opening up potentially in the next couple of weeks. I may delay them a little bit this year because we will be going away in the middle of August, but if that's something you're interested in, you can either drop me a line right away, or just keep your attention out for the information when I share it in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so if you have questions, now is question time. And I'm going to, as usual, pop into Facebook and hope we don't get the nasty double volume that we had once, which used to happen in the beginning. And we used to get this sort of 2 voice layers on top of the same video, which was really not nice because you couldn't tell. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so Maria's saying I don't use tags at all, but Yoast SEO really insists on me putting them in the SEO optimization. Yes, so this indeed, you will get this notice. Yes, when you have Yoast installed or any other WordPress SEO plugin, you will get the green buttons on the side, and one of them to tick is to put in your tags. However, this is misleading. And again, I believe I do have a post, which I'm not sure in which category it is on my blog, but it's definitely out there somewhere. And what it explains is that Yoast is just a tool. And of course, Yoast was created a very long time ago. And, as the algorithm updates itself, it doesn't necessarily mean that the tool is going to keep up with it. So the tool is not an SEO expert. It is just used to, try and give you some indication of how well optimized an article is. It's definitely not the only tool you should use and you should rely on when it comes to search engine optimization. Of course, for WordPress, it's important. But when it comes to tags, you don't need to listen to Yoast because, as you can see, I have removed them from my site, and it has made a really good difference. And of course, the people who run Yoast, they're good at SEO, I'm pretty sure, but their job is not to actually run websites and help people with ranking their websites and making sure that the SEO works. Their job is to keep their software package up to date and sort of keep a general understanding of how SEO is doing, more or less. So there are going to be some things that escape them because they're not, their main focus is, of course, to sell their product. It's not to be, the be-all and end-all. And of course, Google is constantly moving the goalposts. So again, tags is one of those things that people have different, perhaps, opinions about. But the SEO people I do follow have had the same experience that I have. And I would definitely recommend giving it a try. You've got nothing to lose because, if you delete them, then you can always add them back. So, of course, depending how many blog posts you've got, because that might be a little bit of a logistical nightmare. Okay, so that's all I had for you today. I hope you found it really, really useful. And I look forward to seeing you again next week, same time, so 6 p.m. CET on my Facebook page. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next Content Tea Party. Bye-bye.